Hey, folks, it's your buddy Mike Messier. We're going to do a special, it's WrestleMania Saturday, April 1st. Happy April Fool's Day. I don't know if I have any April Fool's jokes for you right now, but maybe later. I want to put my hat on just so I can think a little bit better. So let's talk about this WWE Hall of Fame. If you happen to check in, yes, this is your same buddy, Mike Messier. Subscribe to Mike Messier YouTube channel. I've changed this channel over to One Pro Wrestling Fan just to strengthen the analytics, so to speak. So let's talk about it. So last night you had your SmackDown, and then they kind of convert the ring over to a different type of environment. They kind of make it look a little nicer. They put the podium up there. They have the steps. It looked to be a little lacking in security. Considering a couple of years ago with that Bret Hart situation, if you remember that, there wasn't, from what I could see, a strong security situation. Maybe there was, maybe they were more covert, but just remembering that weird Bret Hart thing 3 or 4 years ago, maybe a stronger security presence would have been nice, but who knows? Maybe they know what they're doing. Stacy Keibler, Tori Wilson, Mick Foley. Mick Foley kind of let the hat out of the bag, or the cat out of the bag, or the cat and the hat out of the bag. What's in the box? Basically, Mick Foley on his Conrad Thompson podcast, Foley is Pod, kind of leaked the information that he would be involved in WrestleMania weekend, and also that he requested that they bring the camera up on him, and not like show him in the ring already, and not show him coming to the ring, because he himself, Mick, felt a little self-conscious. Don't mind if I have this little power shake. No ads here. I wish they were paying for an ad. This Core Power, not a bad shake. Strawberry banana. So they lift the lights on Mick Foley. They had the pregame show. First of all, who did they have on the pregame show? They had Kurt Angle and his wife. They had Sami Zayn and his wife. They had The Miz and his wife, Maurice. And it's funny that I say his wife, because for none of these wrestlers did they really allow the wives to say a word. It felt very, now granted, in 2 of the 3 cases, the women aren't on-screen performers, but if Kurt Angle's going to have his, bodacious wife there, why not get a word from her? If Sami Zayn, who's very popular now, has his little, computer-esque looking wife there, why not get a word in from her? Here's to it. So there was just, I wouldn't say it felt misogynist or anything like that. It just felt a little bit insulting, or like they passed these wives over without barely mentioning them. They did have, what's his name, Tattoo Neck, and his beautiful wife, who's a wrestler, Carmella. They really didn't say much to Carmella except admire her body, which was pretty form-fitting kind of see-through outfit. It was very sexual in nature and very attractive, Carmella. But anyway, so we finally get through all the pregame hype. They said something about a hardcore legend. Maria Menounos was there cashing in a paycheck. They were really trying to, they've been pushing Menounos for 15 years. I think she wrestled with Trish Stratus back in 2008 or 2009 in that 6-woman tag, didn't she? I think the WWE thinks that Maria Menounos is more popular or more famous than she is. No offense, I'm a fan of Maria Menounos, I guess, as much as one can be. But I think the WWE has always kind of put her on this facade of thinking she's an A-list celebrity. I don't think she really is, no offense. You might as well dig up Brooke Burns from 15 years ago, Wild on E, and see what she has to say. So anyway, we finally get to the show. Mick Foley's in the ring. And look, folks, Mick has admitted this himself. He's talked about it. Mick is not in great shape right now. It looks like his weight has gone the heaviest I've ever seen Mick Foley. I would be kind and say maybe 385, but in reality, he might be pushing 400, because those tuxedos do make people look better. You always look better when you're wearing a nice suit or tuxedo, but he still looked very large. and I felt bad. And I mean, he's talked about his legs, these different leg injuries he's got. But I mean, you talk about the concussions, the getting thrown off the Hell in the Cell. I wish the best for Mick. But yeah, I mean, him and Conrad have probably been sitting around eating too many Kurt Angle chicken protein strips without actually doing the exercise. So I mean, I'm pulling for Mick to get out of this funk. He has lost weight before, and I just say this not to mock him, but just to say it was quite a visual. He did not look good, but he spoke well. He was in good humor. He spoke very well. He did reference Molly Holly and Stacy Keibler, the inductee, as being the two nicest people. Of course, it's starting to feel, and maybe I'll get into this later, that anyone from the Attitude Era is really just getting inducted left and right. And if you look back at the 2004 to 2006 WWE Hall of Fame era, when they're inducting Paul Orndorff and the Iron Sheik and Nikolai Volkov and all the way to Coco Beware, it did feel like anyone from that mid-'80s era, WrestleMania 1 through WrestleMania 3 abouts, anyone who had face time in that area was getting inducted. And now we feel, almost for the last several years, that anyone from the Attitude Era is getting inducted. Why not induct Hardcore Holly and Crash Holly? And I'm not even kidding. Why not? Good shake, by the way. Moving forth, Tori Wilson comes on. Tori really, I think it was 2019, she really impressed everybody, basically how attractive she is, or she's still attractive. She does all the Pilates and the Tori Wilson yoga and everything else. Very gorgeous woman, wearing an outfit that maybe wasn't, and I hate to sound like Joe Rivers on the fucking Hall of Fame or whatever the fuck, the red carpet from 20 years ago. But I don't know if that outfit did Tori justice. I think it tried, but it felt very mermaid-esque and kind of like a snake coil wrapping around her midsection. But look, I mean, as gorgeous as she still is, time catches up to all of us. It didn't look as good as maybe she thought it did, or people told her it did. I mean, trust me, a fantastic woman, Tori Wilson, and her speech was very nice. She's returning the favor. Apparently, I forgot this, but Stacy Keibler apparently inducted her back in 2019. I forgot seeing Stacy on that one. But Tori seemed very nice and kind, and a good sisterhood of friendship. Both a couple of Nitro girls, both a couple of women from that era, and they carried over into the WWE. And of course, no mention of George Clooney, no mention of the famous men that Stacy Keibler has been with, including George Clooney. But she comes out and they played the old Kid Rock copy of Legs, the cover of Legs, the ZZ Top classic, which was always a great song for Stacy. Really great montage for Stacy, too. Brought back some good memories. And she's still a real cutie. I mean, she's always had that cute little face and just a tall woman and very nice. Her contributions to wrestling, I think, were mostly as eye candy, but she did her role very, very well. I mean, she was a good manageress. She had good vignettes. She was always seemingly up for anything. She was very popular. People really liked her because she was that, and this is one thing you can't really argue with. The mix of cute and hot, really works all the time. And like, you wouldn't say that Tori Wilson is cute, but you would say that Stacy Keibler is both cute and hot, right? So it was nice to see her. Looks pretty much the same. I mean, look, we all get older. A couple of wrinkles around the eyes, but as far as everything else, I mean, really looks the same. So congratulations to Stacy Keibler. I will say this. I think Stacy's speech was very well spoken and articulate. I don't know if she was using a teleprompter or not. It did feel a bit rehearsed. It did feel a bit choreographed. Her acceptance speech, it did feel like she was winning an Oscar award, to be honest with you. I don't know. Fucking Tori said something about her being a fucking wife and a mother. I don't recall seeing any husband or kids in the audience or anything. And I don't recall if Stacy gave a shout out to her husband or kids. But anyway, Stacy Keibler, I did like everything she did. This is only my feeling, though. it seems to be a pattern and a tradition for these WWE Hall of Fames that whoever goes on first takes an inordinate amount of time. So it's really like the person who goes first can just kind of go long and just shrug it off. And that's exactly what happened here. It felt like to me she went a little bit longer than she needed to, maybe 5 extra minutes, but it's okay. We move forth. Who was next? I believe it was Andy Kaufman, right? Wasn't Andy Kaufman next? And kind of an interesting thing. Of course, the go-to guy to induct the late, great Andy Kaufman, great comedic sensibility. Actually, an underrated actor, too. But Andy Kaufman, Jerry the King Lawler, you'd love for him to be here in Los Angeles, in Hollywood for this induction. Unfortunately, the King, Jerry Lawler's had his own health issues, was not able to attend in person. He did do a pre-taped interview, which I thought was nice, kind of, inducting the inductor, so to speak, or introducing the inductor of Jimmy Hart. This is, once again, it gets sad. I'll talk more about this, but you start seeing your heroes, the people a generation ahead of you, get really old, and then you start thinking about yourself. But Jerry did not look, he didn't sound great. He sounded a little off, but the guy's been through a tremendous amount, so we're pulling for Lawler. Despite the fact that he screwed me over years ago concerning a wrestling magazine, ironically enough, animations of him and Jerry and Andy Kaufman. Anyway, Lawler screwed me on something. But going to Jimmy Hart, here's where I think things took a turn for the worse. And I posted this in the Facebook groups, the Foreign Object Wrestling group. My buddy Shane McKenna's Wrestling Fans forgot to post in Laz's wrestling group. So many wrestling groups on Facebook, but basically I felt that Jimmy Hart really kind of dropped the ball and he just did not connect with this audience. He did not do in my opinion, he did not do a good job of really illustrating Kaufman's overall career. He got very specific to their matches in Memphis, which I've seen those tapes, but I think Hart kind of farted in church a little bit. Like, he just didn't do a great speech. And what can I say? The family of Kaufman, interestingly enough, this was a recurring problem for me in the Hall of Fame last night. They did not really do a good job of saying if there was someone who was not with us, deceased. They didn't do a good job of saying who the people were that were accepting the award. And they just said Andy Kaufman's family. Well, I assume it was his brother, his sister, was it his widow, or I guess his daughter, and maybe a niece? So a brother, a sister. It looked like the brother's daughter, who was kind of a cutie, and the daughter of Andy Kaufman, but they didn't really put any lower thirds or any type of caption to make you know that. And the announcers, as far as I remember, didn't do a good job of explaining who these people were. So the left hand didn't know what the right hand was doing, so to speak. And so they just kind of came out. And, Andy Kaufman's brother, who I thought might have been his father, but, he seemed to be a nice enough guy, very humble. Him and the sister put over wrestling pretty well. The daughter got like one line in. I mean, you'd think that the daughter would get more time. But, I mean, once again, these people who accept these fucking awards, they have to realize that whoever speaks first, you should really say something really quick and then pass the mic to the next person, because otherwise they're just going to assume that you're done. So I mean, I've seen that with other awards shows, Oscars even. Whoever gets the award, like whoever gets that microphone first gets to do all the talking and the other people get shortchanged. First world problems, here's to it. Moving forth, the next one, was the next one Tim White? Oh God, see, I was trying to write this stuff down, but I think the next one was somebody else. Who was the next one? We had Rey Mysterio as the main event. Tim White, the Great Muta, sorry. Ric Flair. This was a shock. I was wondering, and I was thinking it should have been Sting, but of course Sting's with AEW now. And I feel that AEW and WWE right now are not on the best terms. And so maybe WWE, I'm guessing they never even asked to use Sting because they just as soon enough trot Flair out again. And they did. And, Nate was Nate. you know, with Ric Flair inducting somebody else, he's always going to put it in perspective of Ric Flair's career. And the way he did this was he basically said how tough the Japanese wrestlers were and how, in effect, tough he was from enduring all their suplexes by Jumbo Tsuruta. And Flair even listed like 10 or 15 great wrestlers from Japan that he wrestled. So it was kind of like Flair was trying to explain to us ignorant American wrestling fans how tough and great, you know, Japanese wrestling is. But maybe the marks in Hollywood, the WWE Idiot Big Mark audience that would pay for this ticket, maybe they don't know, but the intelligent fans at home know the importance and the significance and the perusu and the toughness of these Japanese wrestlers and all that good stuff. So I thought it was a bit of a waste of time. And of course, you know, you can't really control Flair. You're just happy he's on 2 feet, to be honest with you. I thought he did pretty good for Nate. He did say some nice compliments about Muta, talked about taking Muta, a young Muta, around Atlanta. He did say that Muta was in the class with Ricky Steamboat and Shawn Michaels. That's pretty high praise coming from Flair. But I don't know. I mean, I think, you know, Sting could, but Sting's not a great speaker either, to be honest with you. I think I could have fucking done a better job than any of those assholes putting Muta in the Hall of Fame. One thing that Flair could have talked about that I would have talked about, the first time that I know that Muta and Flair had any in-ring activity was the 1989 Great American Bash, you know, 5th or 6th match on the card. Sting versus Muta for the very first time, ends in a double pin. And then later in the card, Flair versus Funk. And then at the end of that match, who comes out to the ring? Great Muta to spray mist in Ric Flair's eyes. And they had a hell of a brawl for about 20 minutes. Even after the match was over and kind of went into overtime, it was a lot of fun. But no mention of that at all. So Flair's speech was rough. I thought Muta's speech, God, I wish more wrestlers didn't speak English, because Muta's acceptance speech I thought was great. It was short. It was to the point. It was humble. He did the mist for us. He looked awesome. He had that mask. He kind of had the wrestler hunch, you know, when you're hunched over. You know, my buddy Ox Baker used to have that hunch. Of course, he was into his 70s, and Muta's probably in his early 50s. I guess this is my point coming up, folks, and it's not a fun one, but I mean, I remember being a pretty young kid and seeing a young, great Muta wrestle, and he was, you know, full of excitement and just young and exciting. And now, you know, advance, blink your eyes, and this guy's walking with a hump, getting inducted into the Hall of Fame. He's at the end of his career, and it makes me feel fucking old. So I don't know if any of you can relate to that or not, but from rookies to legends, right? So, I mean, I've seen 3 generations of Wyatts wrestle in person. Okay, I've seen 3 generations of the Rock's family, Rocky Johnson, The Rock, and I've even seen the Rock's daughter now at these NXT shows in Jacksonville. So I mean, I'm getting fucking old. So next we see, I thought the Muta thing was good, and what's her name, Asuka. She looked like Asuka lost weight. Asuka looking quite different. Looks like her face was a little more sculpted, not as rounded. I can only assume she's lost 10 or 15 pounds. Looking younger. I mean, that's one thing when you lose weight, you tend to look younger. Look very pretty. She always is pretty, but she just looked a little bit different, and I think she lost 10, 15 pounds. So I'll be interested to see Asuka versus Bianca Belair. Maybe she wanted her cardio up so she could keep up with Bianca this weekend. Next, we go to the APA. Interesting. Tim White. Now, is Tim White the official first referee to be inducted in the WWE Hall of Fame? Good choice. No problem with that choice. Interesting choice. You know, I made the online joke. Of course, Tim White's going to win the Warrior Award. He survived all those suicide attempts. I don't know if people even got the fucking joke. That's not making fun of Tim White. It's referencing his repeated suicide angles. I think in the summer of 2006, really not very well received angles at the time that Timmy White was going to commit suicide because he hurt his shoulder in the Hell in the Cell, I think with Shawn and Hunter. But anyway, Tim, I believe, passed away after a struggle with a disease of some kind in 2022. I have been to the Friendly Tap. It's actually in Cumberland, Rhode Island, Michael Cole. I know these WWE people just generalize everything, but the Friendly Tap was in Cumberland, fucking Rhode Island, Michael Cole, not Providence, Rhode Island. I know it doesn't matter to an asshole like Michael Cole, but to me it does. And Tim White always did the work with Andre the Giant for, I think, Andre's last 8 or 9 years. He was kind of Andre's assistant or helper, road buddy, let's put it that way. Tim White, I will miss that guy. I always liked his refereeing, and a raise of the mug there, a raise of the protein shake to Tim White. APA comes out. Okay, they did pretty good. I mean, pretty good shtick from the APA because they were always fighting in Tim White's bar. And I think Simmons actually shined a bit when he just said what a great guy Tim White was. I thought that was nice. And then finally, his family comes out. It was two brothers. And JBL, to his credit, said, "You're not going to believe how much one of Tim White's brothers looks like Tim." He was right. But that brother never got to speak because the other brother, who I assume was the older brother, he did all the speaking, and this guy who looked just like Timmy White just basically held the trophy over his head and danced around. And once again, if you're going to have two people get the induction on behalf of their loved one, let everyone speak. Just my fucking opinion, okay? As someone who's hosted events, I just don't get why one person gets to speak and the other person looks like a fucking asshole. But in any event, moving forth, then we get to our main event, and here is where business was picking up. First of all, I don't know if this was the greatest WWE Hall of Fame induction speech ever, but it's probably top 3. Maybe I would probably, at the top of my head, I would say number 1. I mean, I'm thinking, who else can I think of? I want to say Bobby Heenan inducted Paul Orndorff, and I want to say that Dusty Rhodes inducted the Four Horsemen. Those were some of the great induction speeches. Who inducted Flair? Was it Hunter? That was probably a good speech. But I got to say that I think Conan, especially because the guy hasn't been in the WWE since 1992 as Max Moon, I think Conan probably has a lot of assholes in Titan Tower slapping their heads saying, why didn't we hire this guy 20 or 30 years ago? I mean, because Conan brought some real swagger. He was very comfortable. He was not braggadocious. He was matter of fact in his storytelling, but he put Ray over. He kind of put himself over too, but that's okay. It was all justified. I thought Conan stole the fucking show. And I think Conan, I believe, has overcome some health issues. So I'm glad to see that Conan did fucking well. The last time I saw Conan in person, he was getting a spike pile driver from FTR in Jacksonville. So nice to see Conan has overcome that and that spike pile driver as well as the health issues. I was really impressed by Conan. And then I loved it. I did think I'm giving them credit. I'm not this huge Dominic Mysterio fan, but I thought he and Rhea Ripley played their roles very well. They did not stand when Ray came out, and right when Ray was beginning, they walked away. And kind of a few minutes before that, I forgot to mention, Conan had that biting little comment that maybe he should have been adopted by the Mysterios and taken Dominic's place. Good shit. Good shit. I give credit to the WWE and to Conan, Mysterio, and Dominic and Rhea. They all pulled it off quite well. The fans were really into this thing. This was really a nice celebration of Rey Mysterio. A little surprised that amongst his list of opponents, he did not mention Chris Jericho. I thought they had a really good feud. I'm not sure if that was like a mask for title feud, the Cruiserweight title or something, but I do remember Jericho and Mysterio had a pretty good feud there in WCW, but you can't remember everybody. I thought Mysterio's speech was great, and I liked it. I mean, I liked the whole thing. I thought Conan put over Mysterio. Mysterio put over Conan. Mysterio put over his wife really nicely. Mick Foley admits that he forgot to thank his wife in his speech. So I thought it was great. I mean, I thought it was really nice. I thought Mysterio did a nice job. And I think Conan, like I said, I think Conan kind of stole the fucking show last night. So folks, I appreciate you watching this. I'll be tuning in probably again later tonight with my post WrestleMania night one, whatever the fuck analysis. Uh, as far as things I'm looking forward to this WrestleMania, I don't know. I mean, I think I'm mostly looking forward to um, the Rhea Ripley Charlotte Flair match. To be honest with you, I just think that's very intriguing. I don't know if they've done a great job building that match up. But I think you have a heel that everybody likes and a baby face that nobody likes with Charlotte and Rhea. So I think they could possibly do some stuff with that. But then Rhea is very entrenched with this whole, Dominic Mysterio group thing. So I don't know how it's going to go down. But I say it's nice. I guess there's an NXT show this afternoon. I'll probably end up watching that too. So thanks for watching. One Pro Wrestling fan. Yes, this is the former subscribe to Mike Messier YouTube channel. If you're not a pro wrestling fan and somehow you're watching me right now, One Man in a Camera Films, another award today for Disregard, 10th award, and also an honorable mention award, which I'm happy to get. Is that an award or is that an honorable mention? Or is it an honorable mention award? So I don't know. And then one Mike Messier YouTube channel. Very interesting Mike's Meals last night. Okay, folks, thanks for watching and happy WrestleMania celebrating.